Um, yes, so today I'll be showing you a brand new flow that we've been working on. So it it's used to automate the process of archiving emails from any mailbox to SharePoint. So we're still in the process of turning this into a flow template that'll be available to everyone at UTM. But I thought it would be a good idea to show our progress so far because I think a lot of people have shared mailboxes and might want another solution to deal with the storage limitations on them. Or even if you wanted to use this flow for your personal mailbox, it, it could be a good idea to move old ideas or emails to SharePoint. So so a little background. We kind of noticed while working with a department here at UTM who were looking for a solution for their shared mailbox to auto archive old emails. Like they had a ton of emails from over a year ago, and they wanted to set up an auto archiving feature that would schedule it based on the age of an email, and then move it over to either a PST file or over to SharePoint. We discovered that auto archiving is actually not able to be turned on for shared mailboxes. Um, so, because shared mailboxes have a storage limit of 50 gigs, and that can't be increased, this could pose a problem for many people. And for this department, it was a big problem for them. Um, 50 gigs is a lot of space for emails, but depending on attachment sizes, age of the mailbox, or the amount of emails received, it can reach its capacity. And what this department had done was actually create a second mailbox to archive from the first mailbox to that mailbox, which was kind of confusing and not the best solution. So that's the existing solution that we were given, was to create a new shared mailbox to act as an archive. Um, so to do that, team members would manually need to either drag and drop emails to the new mailbox from the existing mailbox. So this was done manually, and that was time consuming. Um, and eventually, the data capacity of the new mailbox also would run out because that also has just 50 gigs capacity. And when you have a ton of attachments and it's an old mailbox, it could add up pretty quickly. Um, or the second option that they had was to either was to create email archives, so PST files, and save them to a shared drive or SharePoint. But the problem with this is that the email archives need to be created manually, so there is no option to auto archive based on the age. Like if you have your personal mailbox, you can turn on auto archiving, and that'll work fine. But for a shared mailbox, there's no option to do that. And also with a PST file, only one member at a time can have a PST file open within Outlook to search through the emails. So that limits team collaboration if multiple people want to search through old emails for things. So that left us with an opportunity to create a new solution. So we turned to Power Automate. So there are no pre-built templates in Power Automate provided by Microsoft that worked as a solution to this. So we decided to create our own. And this is sort of like a workflow of how it works. So this part is where you do the initial setup, where you will determine the age of the emails that you want to archive from your mailbox, and then also determine which folder in the mailbox that you want to be archived. And I'll show that when we do a demo. Um, and then from there, everything is automated. So it triggers the flow. So you can either manually trigger it with a button saying whenever you want to archive, or you can have it scheduled so the flow can run either daily, weekly, monthly, or whatever you want to set it up to run. So then when it's triggered, the flow will search through the specified folder in your mailbox, and it'll search for emails that you have set of a certain age. So, for example, emails that are from a year ago. So it'll find all emails from a year ago and earlier, and then what it will do is export all these emails to SharePoint. So you determine a destination in SharePoint where you want them to export to, and it copies them one by one as a email file. So you can search them all one by one, not like a PST where it's a big file and you have to open the file in Outlook. These can all actually all be viewed within SharePoint itself. Um, and then the next step, it will delete the emails from the mailbox. Um, so it truly deletes them, not just moves it to the deleted folder, which completely frees up the space. And then from there, you can just view all the emails in SharePoint. And all emails are downloadable. So it's possible to, if you made a mistake in something you didn't want it to actually be archived, you can actually restore it back into Outlook if you download the email, and you can open it within Outlook again. And all emails that are exported include attachments as well, and that's all viewable. And that's it. Let's see it. So I have a shared mailbox here that I was just using for the demo here, and I marked some old emails that I want to archive. So these are from November 22nd and before. Um, so what I'll do is I'll move them into my archive folder. So currently that's the one thing that you have to do beforehand is actually move the folder or set the folder that you want to be archived. If you want it to be the inbox, just an inbox, you can set it as that if you want. But if you want, for my purpose, I specified this archive folder. So I'll just select all these and move them, or you can even, there's a way that you can create a flow to move emails that you set as well to a folder so that you can automate this part as well. But for now, I'll just do it manually and move these to this test archive folder. So all these I want to be archived basically. And so what I want to do is to export all those emails to a location on my SharePoint site. So I just created a folder here in Documents called Mailbox Archive from Flow, and that's where I'm gonna point to save all my emails basically. And you can make subfolders too if you want to archive from a certain time period, and then you put them in this folder so it's easier to search later on. But for now, I'll just put it in the main folder here. And as far as setup goes, that's kind of it. And then you would just receive the flow. And this is how the flow looks. It's pretty simple. So for the purpose of a demo, I created a manual trigger, but this can be changed to be automated or scheduled to run at a certain time. So you would receive basically, if you wanted this flow from us, you would receive the framework as it is. You wouldn't have to set any of these variables or anything like that. The only thing that would need to be set would be in here. You would need to point to the folder in your mailbox. Well, first you would enter the mailbox address here. So you put your shared mailbox address here, and you point to the folder that you want to be archived. So you could select inbox or any other folders. So I just selected the test archive folder. You can fetch only unread messages if you want, but for me, I put no. I can take any messages regardless. And I have included attachments, and that could also be changed if you didn't want to include attachments. And then the search query here is where all the power is basically. So it's going to look in this folder for any emails that were received and are older than 120 days for me, but this is totally changeable to whatever you want. You can do 90, you can do 365, but I'll just keep it at 120. So this is the part that you would have to determine. And when we hand over the flow to you, we can set that up as well. So it could be just like we set this up for you, hand it over, and then you never have to really touch it again. It'll just run and search. And then there's other fields here that you can set if you want specific emails that are to someone or from someone or somebody CC'd on them. That's all extra things that you can specify. And you can imagine if you wanted a separate flow to do things like that for another mailbox, you could do that as well. So once it finds these emails, it will export them. And then here is the only thing you'd have to enter is your mailbox. So it's going to export each item from this mailbox, and it'll create a file in the SharePoint site. And this is where you would select your SharePoint site and the folder path that you want to actually save the emails to. So I picked this one here, this folder. And then file name here is also customizable. By default, I have it set to be received time and date, and then separator, and then from, and then separator, and then the email subject. And they're saved as a .eml file so that they're openable in Outlook. So it creates a single file on SharePoint for each email that it exports. And then for each email, it deletes it from the mailbox to free up the space. And then here it just kind of, this is a variable that it sets. So basically it keeps looping and it keeps checking until it's found all the emails in that mailbox, and then it completes. So without further ado, I'll run it. And so all these emails should start coming over once I run. So if I want to manually run it, I can just hit this button here. And then I can see the run here that it's running. And this will kind of give you a live monitoring of it happening. But I can also just go into my mailbox here and kind of just start seeing the emails. They should start moving. Yeah. And then in SharePoint, I'll start seeing them pop up here. And they're all coming in one by one. So it's the date that the email was received, from who it was received. These are from Adobe because it's just like a test signature email that we were sending. And then this is the subject line of each email. And then I can go in and actually view the emails and all its contents in here with pictures and everything. It looks just like it does in Outlook. And then if I actually want to save the email itself, I can just download it and open it right from in here. And it opens in Outlook with any attachments as well. And let's say I wanted to put this back into Outlook. I could just go to my downloads here and just kind of move it back into a folder. But I'll leave it for now. So it looks like I didn't change the date for the same age of the files that I actually have, so it didn't get all of them, but it ran successfully. Yeah, so there's still some in here. I guess I didn't include the 22nd. Yeah, so that one date is there. If I wanted to get those ones, I can just go in and edit the age of the emails that it looks for. So I'll do I think it was 120 was what I wanted. So I'll save my flow and I'll just run it again. And it should grab the rest of them. And yeah, so that's cleaning up my mailbox. Everything is coming over to my SharePoint here. And the great thing about SharePoint is the storage capacity is much larger than what you'd find in a shared mailbox that, say, if you wanted to create a second shared mailbox to archive to, you would only be able to create a 50 gig shared mailbox, whereas a SharePoint site can be massive, like in the terabytes. So you should never really run out of space. Um, and all the emails here are searchable by an entire team. So not like a PST file where if I wanted to um, open a PST file in Outlook and I wanted to search through the old emails, then nobody else could open that PST file until I was done with it and I closed it. But here, any team members that have access to this folder, they can all search through and open up emails, and they can download them and look at attachments and anything. So that's pretty much the flow itself. Um, it's pretty straightforward, but pretty powerful as well. There's a little setup in the beginning, but if anybody wanted to request it, we would help set that up for you initially, and then you could kind of have it run in the background. So like now all the emails are gone. Let's say it was scheduled to run again tomorrow. Um, it can just run, and then it'll look for emails. If it doesn't find any emails, it'll just pass. Um, and then that's it. And then it'll run the next day again. Yeah, that was it for the demo. Does anyone have any questions or Anna?
Can you talk about the searchability of the emails once they are on SharePoint? Because I'm wondering, can we search for the contents, like for the text in the contents of the emails? That would be my main concern, because we do get information on the title and the date, but what if we don't have that information when we are searching for a particular email?
Yeah. I don't know if it'll search in the actual contents from here, let's say. Yeah, maybe not. But what you could do if you wanted to add like into the email name, like the file name, you could add like a short, I think there's a short body description that you could add into the file name. Let me just check quickly. So if you wanted to say search a little bit of the email, so these are the fields that you can um, put into the file name from the connector. So I think there's like a body preview. So if I had body preview, it would give me, I think, the amount of text that you get sort of in a preview here. Let's say if I wanted, like, I don't know how many lines it gives you. That's something I haven't fully tested, but I think it gives you a short preview. But if you wanted to search like throughout the full contents of the email, um, yeah, I don't think it'll do it just like this. But technically what you could do is instead of a document library, you could probably put this into a SharePoint list. Um, and what that would do is it kind of makes it into a table. And then you would have a field in like a column in your table for the email body. And then essentially all the text would be in there and you could search that way. It would just be a little bit of a different setup of the flow, but I think it would be possible that way. Or if you wanted just to search like a few things of the like a few lines of the body of the email, you could just have the body preview into the name of the file.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that list might be the solution then.
Yeah.
And another question, or just clarification. My understanding from the demo is that it would only work on one, like archiving would work on one folder at a time.
Yes. Yeah.
If we are interested in archiving the to mirror the folder structure we have in the shared mailbox, we would need to set up an archive for each of the subfolders in that shared mailbox, right?
Essentially, yeah. So I was trying to find, so that was the number one thing I was trying to get. And we're still in the process of making the flow, but I wanted it to search your entire mailbox for subfolders. But for whatever reason, this seems to be a limitation in Power Automate at the moment. It looks like there's a lot of people that have requested this as well, but it still hasn't been implemented. I've been trying workarounds to get it to search through all the subfolders as well and archive them. But yeah, you're right. When you move it over to SharePoint, it won't keep the folder structure. That would have to probably be made in beforehand with like all your folders. Technically, I know it would get a little messy. What you could do is set up one of these flows for each subfolder in your mailbox, and then have it point to that folder in SharePoint. So it would just take extra set up beforehand because you'd make each subfolder in here that you have in your mailbox, and then have a flow pointing to that folder from here.
That's what I thought. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
We're
Okay.
still
Thank you.
looking for
Makes
a
sense.
workaround, and hopefully we find one before we fully release this. But at the moment, yeah, that's the way it works.
Makes sense. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, I'm just seeing the chat now. So Michelle asked, does it have to be SharePoint or could archive to shared drive? So Power Automate doesn't like connect to a shared drive. So it connects using these connections that you sign into. So SharePoint is the easiest, and OneDrive, because they're both Microsoft online products, and you just sign into it with your account, and it connects directly to it. But a shared drive is kind of a different thing. So it wouldn't, unless your shared drive was somehow connected through OneDrive, but I don't think so, no. So that's why SharePoint is the easiest.
Thank you.
No problem. I just saw HY answered too, so sorry. Any other questions about this flow or Power Automate in general, even?
I have a question about the past workshops. You said they've been recorded.
Yeah.
Can you just possibly pop a link in the chat?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
No problemo. Yeah, this is the
Thank
site
you.
here. And so we just have we're adding some how-to videos as well on some stuff. And I had already made one for this actually before the workshop, and then there's a workshop sections as well. And I'll add this one after the call. Yeah. Anything? Oh, Anna?
I have a question, not necessarily on the topic of Power Automate, but just
Sure.
understanding of what can we get help with. So obviously, Power Automate, you are the group for that. But are there other resources at UTM where we can get help on other stuff? I mean, you have an idea, you need Excel spreadsheet that does this and that, do we have someone to go to if we cannot figure it out on our own? Or is your service unique in a way in the offering?
So any M365 kind of stuff, like if you have an idea and you want to create like a new process or something like that, you can definitely reach out, or you could even just create a ticket through the service portal. And then usually it'll come to our team.
UTM service portal,
Yes.
or
Yes.
Mhm.
And then it'll usually come to our team, to the DWS team, Digital Workplace Services. And then we'll just have a call with you to go through kind of what you're looking to do, and then look at what's available, or if there's nothing available, we'll kind of look at options on how to maybe even create a new process.
So you're not strictly Power Automate.
Yes, correct.
Help.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Any other questions? Or? Okay. If there's nothing else, I guess we can end it there. So later this afternoon, I'll post this video to the YouTube as well. And our next workshop will be, I guess, 2 months from today, and hopefully by then we'll have some more offerings, and we can show a new flow template. And if you like this one, if you want to request it, you could just make a ticket through the UTM service portal. Say that you want a new Power Automate flow template, and then we can go from there. We can help you set this up in your environment, and then you can start using it.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great long weekend.
Yep, you too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Have a great weekend, everyone.